Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the amazing John. John, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of chilling out, working on some scribbles for something like for another drawing to do later.
That's awesome, man. Well, and like I said, before we talk about why you're here, John, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You go by JonniDraws on TikTok and Instagram. You are an artist and comic dealer, and horror's been a part of your life for literally your entire life. But you prefer more the monster movies, practical effects, heavy creature, slasher, body horror movies, things like that. So, what got you into drawing and becoming an artist?
Uh, Again, it's just comic books were always kind of there. My uncle Bill had like The Crow and The Death of Superman when I was real little, so I was able to get hold of that kind of stuff. And then uh, like one of the actual earliest memories of comics I have is Cycle of the Werewolf and the Creepshow graphic novel that Bernie Wrightson did the art for both of. One of the things that made me want to draw, there's a one of the chapter illustrations in Cycle of the Werewolf. There's the werewolf reaching into a car and he's just pulling the face off of a police officer or a delivery man or something like that. And it was so gnarly and stuck with you so hard, but it wasn't really all that gory. And
Right.
Bernie Wrightson is one of those guys that's kind of stuck with me, that he's able to get real, like, grab hold of your guts emotion out of just pencil and ink and lines. And he never really does a whole lot of gore, but he manipulates the shapes of the way figures move and arch. Let me turn this down. Keep getting notifications. My bad. Uh,
You're good.
it just the like that's where I kind of get it from. It's like like I guess you could actually kind of say that my first horror movie was Batman in a way, because 3 4 years old, Jack Nicholson in that Joker makeup,
Oh yeah, man.
and it, the opening scene is so good with the two crooks on the roof. There ain't no bat. Johnny Dobbs got ripped and took a walk off a roof, and then he's just there. And that definitely led into my love of vampires, and then the animated series came out, so I got the love for the big man bat monsters and stuff like that. And then again, horror movies always being there. I have memories from the Lost Boys being real little, and there's the Frog Brothers running the comic shop, and there's an artist named Gene Colan that did Tomb of Dracula, and he's just it. He's one of those guys that's just it. And then Bram Stoker's Dracula was a big movie that grabbed me, and it's just like all these different artists that it's less that I saw the movie and more that I saw. The artist's name was Mike Mignola. He did Hellboy, and he also drew the Bram Stoker's Dracula comic adaptation.
Okay.
And so that's the kind of stuff that's always kind of stuck with me. It's more the art and the artistry that goes into the movies and into the comics too. And so it's just like you said earlier, that horror has always been a part of my life, and so is art. So it just kind of never stops.
Blend it in.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I have all of the Johnny Draws social media links in the description, the TikTok, the Instagram. Make sure you guys are checking that out. They're right down here. You don't got to go far to find them. So, one thing I do want to touch on real quick. I remember a very young Ken Sledge waiting outside of Tim's Cards and Comics on January 9th, 1994 to get the death of Superman. And why do I remember that so vividly? Because my birthday is January 10th. And the day before my birthday, my mom told me I could skip school to go to Tim's Cards and Comics, which was my cousin owned it. It was right next door to our video store, Downtown Video. My parents owned a video store growing up. And we got to go there and we got to get the Death of Superman. And I bought two copies, man. I bought one that I could read and one that I could keep in that sealed black. Remember, it came in the black plastic with the Superman on it, so that way I could become a millionaire someday. And then they brought Superman back, and I was
They
like,
did.
shit, this is worthless now.
Well, well, depending on what copy you have and if it's still in that sealed bag. If you're lucky and you have one of the ones that, the red logo still and it's still sealed, you can get it's a little bit more valuable than the rest of them. And I mean, $30 maybe, but you're not going to
Right.
get a ton of money for that particular issue. Some of them, there are a handful of those Superman, Death Superman runs that are, there was there was an this is where my day job comes in. Sorry, there was a raffle edition that they gave off that's held some money, and there's a handful of versions of it, but for the most part, yeah, I'm gonna send my kid to college with this. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were just unfortunate to me, literally.
Yeah. It didn't happen. Like, still one of my favorite arcs of all time.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's
and
it.
just
That
that panel of him and Doomsday hitting each other, you
that
know.
Superman 75 in and of itself is just so it's everything that will grab a young man to get them into comic books because it's the big splashy image of Superman fighting the monster.
Yep.
Not really a lot of character development or dialogue. It's just bam, bam, bam. Wow, he
Beating each
slammed
other's
Superman under the
asses.
ground. And craziness. It's
Yeah,
like
it's still to this day one of my favorite. That and Identity Crisis will probably always be my two favorite DC arcs of all
man,
time.
I got you would not when you would not believe the amount of hell I got at work because I was a massive Dr. Light fan. And then
No,
Identity Crisis came out, and I was like, he was a joke.
this guy kind of sucks.
I was like, wow, he okay, reevaluating.
Yep, no longer a fan of him.
Yeah, not really,
Um,
no.
but no, it's awesome, man. Because like I said, I do still have my long boxes. You know, I still got my collection, and comic books has always been special to me too, man. So to talk to somebody that's such a good illustrator and loves to do what you do, it's cool, man. I really appreciate the job that you
Thank
do.
you.
Um, but in order to do horror stuff, horror had to start for you somewhere, Johnny. So I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Johnny, your first horror movie was?
The earliest one that I can remember is probably Lost Boys. The knowing that I am watching this and there are monsters in it, that kind of thing.
Sure.
When I was, it all goes back to 3 or 4. I was 3 or 4. My dad was a peace officer. He blew his knee, and so it's me and him watching horror movies while he's recovering from a knee surgery. And Lost Boys was one of those. Um, I think maybe Evil Dead 2. Not a lot of stuff. So
Yep.
that's 3 or 4, and cognizant, knowing I'm watching a horror movie. And, we flash forward a few years later. The Stand is one that sticks out because again, my dad played a prank on me. I'm playing in the living room, and he's watching the news. I go to my room and I'm gone for however long, and I come back. It's no longer the news. I don't know. It's not the news.
You still think it's
I still think it's the news.
genius?
And it's that scene in The Stand where just right towards the end of the viruses break out, and everyone's dead, and it's just going over the people, and it's playing Don't Fear the Reaper. And I is this still the news? And he goes, well, yeah, they play this song on the news. And he goes, oh, it's a memorial.
Oh,
And so I was convinced that like a virus had broken out for like 3 days. But that was funny.
that's hilarious, man. And that's a dad's job.
That yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like
Um
that's dad's job is to do stuff like that.
and then the person that actually got me really into horror movies, not just there are monsters here, but got me into learning about the Universal Studios monster movies, and Alien and Predator, and all that, all the good stuff. The Hammer horror movies. So my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was at her house for the summer one year. In fact, I think it was that same that following summer, and the Gate had come on channel 21 UPN in the Dallas Metroplex, and she saw that it kind of wigged me out, and she's like, those are just clay puppets, right? And I was like, well, I knew they looked weird, but I didn't know they were claymation. And so she explained to me what was going on, and then she immediately showed me Alien.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little wigged out by the Gate, and then she springs the Alien on me. So the best part about this, though, is every time something crazy happens, she stops it and she explains to me what's going on, and she
Mm-hmm.
showed me what where the where the where the wires were for the chest burster and things like that. And by the time it was over with, I'm hooked. I'm a horror kid for life. And then she showed me the Universal Studios movies, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Creature from the Black Lagoon is still my favorite monster to this day. It's such a great design. It was acted so well. And the sequels have leave some to be desired, but that's what sequels do. Uh, and then Bela Lugosi's Dracula, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein is all just perfect for 8-year-old kid. And then it's just gone from there. I saw The Fly on my own, Jeff Goldblum's transformation, and that's what got me hooked into the body horror. And then when I think I was maybe 16 when I saw Tetsuo the Iron Man for the first time, and it was just like, wow. Uh, you know, my family's always encouraged the interest in horror, because if you're at home watching crazy stuff, you're not out there doing crazy stuff. So they were about that. So all my weird interests, my family's always supported. It's been great. Drawing, wrestling, horror movies, all that stuff. Running my mouth when I shouldn't.
Your passions are, when your parents have your back on those, when they're pushed.
Yeah, I mean, that's like they couldn't really give me too much about the horror because everyone in the family is into horror to some level. They couldn't, like, everybody in the family drew. My grandfather on my mom's side's a carpenter, so he has to draw for that. My uncle Larry did cartoons. My great grandfather was one of the last people to hand paint billboards. Of course, they always support the art. And then in pro wrestling, my grandmother was thrown out of the Dallas Sportatorium for trying to hit one of the wrestlers with a chair. So you can't really fault me on the wrestling. But that's the great thing. So the family's always supportive. It's been fantastic. I'm lucky to be able to say that. Like, I think one of my biggest supporters has luckily been my stepdad. He's made sure to biggest flag waiver I've got, and hey, have you seen this new werewolf movie? It's cool. Have you seen this? I had never seen The Howling, and I was like 13, so he showed me The Howling.
Nice.
And then I have to admit, I have bad taste, and when I say that, Howling 3, The Marsupials, is my favorite. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, is my favorite. I've got bad taste. But it's
and that's what I love about the horror community, man, is how loving we can be. Like, if I dislike a movie and you love a movie, it's supposed to be that way. If we all felt the exact same way, it would be boring as fuck, man.
I'm a part of 3 different communities that are very different. You've got the horror community that is very welcoming. You don't like that? That's cool. I do. But I like this. You like this too? Cool. Right on. And then you've got the comic book community where it's like, I mean, you don't like that, and I'm okay with that, but whatever. And you got the wrestling community of like, oh, you don't like that? Well, I hope you, your mother, and everybody in your house just dies in a fire. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. The wrestling community is and now you got like the AEW versus WWE people out there, and it's just
tribalism. Like, it's all just dudes throwing each other at the ground. Like, it's fun to watch. Don't take it so seriously. And you get the guys that are like, this is better than this because of that. You're taking it too serious, man. Like,
I want to be entertained. That's all I want. I want some sports entertainment.
Were you an ECW kid like me?
Oh, of course.
You need to check out GCW. Okay. Game Changer Wrestling. It's so good. I don't know how into wrestling you are. WWE just announced their deal with ESPN, like $30 a month or whatever. I'm gonna go pick up Fight TV. It's $8, and I get several GCW events a month. And I just went to one earlier in July, and I got to see a really good technical wrestling match, a really insane I Quit match, and then I get to see a guy get hit in the head with a chair and spurt blood. I shit you not, 6 inches in the air. Sorry about my language.
No, you're
but
fine.
It's horror, comics, and wrestling are the 3 places you can go to see anyone do any crazy thing, and no one's actually going to get hurt for the most part.
Hopefully.
What's up, little dude? Sorry, my dog's bugging me.
You're fine. We talked about, The Lost Boys being your first horror movie. We know you were very young watching it with your dad for the first time, but do you remember what the scene was that affected you the most?
Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots. How do they taste?
Yes. Yes.
Like that's just what everyone grabs. Like I see that scene and I hear Kiefer Sutherland's voice, but what I picture in my head is the worms in the noodle box. Like like I hear Kiefer Sutherland's voice. You know, you're eating maggots, Michael. How do they taste? But in my mind, I picture the wriggling worms in the box, and it's just and then Tim Capello is still believing to this day, so that always sticks with you. It's like, why is this guy from Mad Max dancing around and playing a saxophone? Okay, chill out, little guy.
Well, it's one of those things where I agree with you. The first time I saw, you're eating maggots, Michael, that blew my mind as a kid. Because I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
this dude's really eating worms. Like, I couldn't discern, editing and shit like that. So I'm
I
like,
mean, well, plus it's
holy
before we
crap.
know about it. It's before we as kids know about vampires can control your mind.
Right.
We're not picking up on that, and it's fun to go back and watch those movies when you're older, when you know the lore, and you're like, oh, I see what happened here, and you totally see that Max is the head vampire before the movie
Hmm.
ends. But when you're a kid, it was that guy the whole time. The whole time it was that guy. It,
Right.
it's just beautiful.
You
It's
become
the
the mom for Mrs. Doubtfire. The whole
yeah,
time?
exactly, exactly.
That's
And
crazy, man.
so
But
yeah,
it's
that's
this movie is so like it's still so influential too in the genre. And
well, I mean,
um
the way the vampires interact with each other, the way the cocky attitude that like David has, it's picked up. Like
mhm.
even in something like the Vampire Diaries, you can see where like the big bad vampires get their swagger. You
Yes.
can see the David and the Mikey in even Angel. Like you can just kind of see their fingerprints in it because they're looking back and like they're trying to inform what the vampire is. And like Lost Boys had a lot of influence of what was cool to people our age and on vampires to reinvigorate them because they
Yes.
I think I think the year before Lost Boys came out, we had the ever classic Rockula. So like vampires were in a rough
What
spot,
a what a hard act to follow.
right? Vampires were in a rough spot. We had like, they end the movie calling him Rapula. So I mean, it's still just cinema, but
Yeah.
every now and then you need a movie to come through to just kind of reset what the creatures are, what reset the lore, remind people that this is a bad thing that you're looking at. Lost Boys did that, Near Dark did that, The Forsaken in early 2000 did that pretty well. Just kind of give a different take on what it's. I have no idea what I'm rambling about, but
Well, no, and The Lost Boys, like I said, it's still so influential. And as horror fans, we love the kills. We're suckers for the kills. Do you remember which kill from The Lost Boys was your favorite?
my favorite was okay. So the one I remember is the one everybody remembers, Death by Stereo. But my favorite one in the movie was when Nanook body checked old boy into the bathtub of garlic. Like that was
Okay.
my favorite kill because Nanook had gotten blamed for some trouble and Michael had been rude to him. Like no, Nanook is the main man. Leave the dog alone.
Right.
So the husky body check into the garlic swimming pool. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I can't argue that either. Well, we do know at one point, I don't know if it's still greenlit, but when I talk to people about their first horror movie, I always ask, would you like to see your first horror movie remade today? Now, I know for a bit there was talk about a Lost Boys remake. I don't know if it's still moving forward. I haven't heard anything about production in a minute, but is a Lost Boys remake something you would like to see today?
I'm kind of torn on that because there's the part of me that always wants more vampire movies going, yeah, absolutely. But then there's also a part of me, I really don't know if that movie works without a pair of actors like Feldman and Haim.
Sure.
Because
The Coreys are so special in this movie.
yeah, they just play it off each other so well. I don't know that there's, and I say that, and then I'm lying because he pops right to my head. I'm like, I don't know who would play David, and it's Bill Skarsgård, but again,
Skarsgård can do anything, man.
he can't make a good Crow movie.
Touche.
But my bad. But like the bulk of the cast, I think, would be pretty easy to build out and get back. But I don't know that they could do Sam and Edgar Frog because
Yeah,
you need the kind of connection between like Corey Feldman came in with that Big Brother vibe on Let Me School This Youngin, and that that was genuine with them, and it's hard to fake. And I don't know if we have actors that could do that right now. I mean, granted,
I agree.
you could probably go out and find some nobodies, which is probably the right thing to do. But I think it would be difficult to replace the Coreys.
I agree. 100% with all my heart agree with that. Um, so, we talked about your first horror movie and what that meant to you, but here for a second, I do want to throw you a little bit of a curveball. My little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Johnny? What is your
Texas
favorite
Chainsaw
horror movie?
Massacre. Texas,
Ooh,
yeah. I'm a Texas boy, obviously. I love that. Um, and then I grew up reading about serial killers and all that, and the Sawyer family was loosely inspired by Ed Gein. Um, but yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface is fantastic, and then Bill Moseley came in part two as it is just unforgettable as Chop Top. And if you haven't had a chance to meet Bill Moseley, do that quick as you can. He is
he's
a
amazing.
sweetheart, such a
He
beautiful
is
man. I
the
love him to death.
man. You're right, and he's the kindest soul you could ever hope to meet.
Like I got a cameo from him for my girl for my partner's birthday a couple years ago, and she just over the moon. And he did above and beyond. Like he's a beautiful man. That's all I can say.
Have you ever got the chance to meet him in person?
Not in person, but I've had a
Oh,
couple of
dude.
email interactions.
Yeah.
I have met Kane Hodder a couple of times, and
Hmm.
he is such a big teddy bear, but so
Yeah.
imposing. I've gotten to meet oh, I cannot remember Angus. I got to meet him once.
Angus Grimm. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The tall
Uh,
man, baby.
and then running around to comic conventions, I've had a chance to run into Brad Dourif. Uh, just a little here and there. Hi, nice to meet you. Not able to get any autographs or anything, but just more as we're
Brad,
both working,
yeah. Brad
run by
Dourif is my
things.
white whale, man. Like
Like
that's Child's Play is my favorite horror franchise.
it's
So,
it is the only one that you can say is consistently watchable. Like
mhm,
I can't say part three is good, but I can say it's fun.
that's my
Um,
favorite one.
and see, like I
Dead
even
serious.
no worries, man. Like
But again, that's what's fun about it.
my favorite one, even though it gets kind of pooed on all the time, is Bride of Chucky, because Jennifer Tilly is hilarious, John
She
Ritter is
is.
hilarious and over the top. Like anytime I get to see John Ritter play a bad guy, I'm about it
Yeah.
because it's like the American Steve Irwin almost trying to be evil, and it's just like this is so cute. But
Listen, I remember when you were Junior's dad in Problem Child. Sit down a
exactly,
little bit.
Junior is scarier than you. Calm down.
Well, man, Johnny, I've had an amazing time talking about your first horror movie and your favorite horror movie. But before I let you go, we always bounce back to the same question. We're going to go back to The Lost Boys, and what we're going to do is rank this movie on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking this on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. We're not being critics. What we're doing is ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, zero skulls being not effective, five being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Johnny, what would your ranking of The Lost Boys be?
I'm gonna go five because I take
Hmm.
stuff from that. There are parts of that movie that I take into every part of my life that I still love.
Yep.
It was Echo and the Bunnymen that did The People Are Strange, but I still love The Doors. I still go watch Tim Capello just play. He was Tina Turner's saxophonist, and she's in my life. I love vampires. The hair metal aesthetic. Bands like Poison and Def Leppard.
Yeah.
That's my jam. Um, there's the comic books are all there. Like when I say this movie affected me, it affected me. It grabbed a hold of me. It was probably the start of. It was definitely the start of at least the love of vampires.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, 5 skulls out of 5. It's a home
100%.
run.
This one and Fright Night, I think were my two that really made me go, man,
You're so
I
cool, Brewster.
love vampires. Yes, man.
Like,
I love that shit so
uh,
much, man. Evil
I
Ed is the
watched
shit.
I watched 976 Evil just because Evil was in it.
Yep.
And he was so good in that too. Like it's one of those B movies that doesn't get a lot of love, but it's real fun.
Yes.
And to me,
Well,
that's
man,
the most important thing about a horror movie. I don't care how scary it is. I don't care how well acted it is.
I want to be
Am I
entertained.
having fun?
Yes.
And if I'm
Yes.
having fun, it's perfect. I had a
Right.
blast with Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022.
Hmm.
Is it a good movie? Oh no, but it was so fun. The bus scene
Dude,
alone is worth it.
I'll say great kills. The arm, that shit was great, man.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I was
and
very entertained by that movie.
and on that same thing, another my second like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favorite horror movie. My favorite horror franchise is Hatchet because it
Hell
has
yeah. Back to
just
Kane Hodder, baby.
such good kills that
Hmm.
you won't. I do you know of a better kill than when he just pops her head open on screen?
No.
Like it's and where do you find a gas fed belt sander? Where do you get a 12-foot chainsaw? Like what? It's just over the top, gratuitous. This is what a slasher movie should be. Why aren't you doing more of this? And
Adam
I
Green's
love
a
it.
genius, man.
He is. He's so good. And even when he does one of the few psychological horror movies that I like, Spiral, it doesn't
Okay.
get talked about a lot, but it's lead character is the same lead actor from the first Hatchet movie. I can't really explain it because it's just kind of weird. Uh, you know, quiet guy at work. Never lets anybody see his sketches. And is he a killer? Is he not? And it's not deep, but I enjoy it.
Right. Well, it's just like digging up the marrow, man. Like he has a
Yeah.
way of just making these movies that are so creative
Oh,
and so
and Ray
smart.
Wise chooses the scenery so well.
Yes. Yes. But man, I could wax poetic about Adam Green all day, another guy I truly love. But we are at the end of the third act, my friend. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, I want to remind everybody I have all of Johnny's links down in the description, guys. So please make sure that you are following him on TikTok. Make sure you're following him on Instagram. Become a part of his life too, so you can check out all the amazing things that he does. Uh, Please don't go anywhere, Johnny. I got a couple more questions for you. Everyone else, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Those links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.